Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about motion. So what exactly is motion? Motion is basically an object which is changing its position with respect to time. Now this change in position is observed with respect to a point of reference. Now इसको हम कैसे समझेंगे? Basically let's consider an example and understand this. So let's take a person A who's standing on a road, whereas a person B who is sitting in a moving car. Now, both these persons are simultaneously crossing each other. Now, as the person A who's standing on the road observes the person B moving the car, for that person, the person B is changing its position and moving forward with respect to time. Whereas for person B, the person A who's standing on the road, we can see that the person A will be moving backwards. Okay. Now, actually, what is happening is person A, if we see on the overall picture, person A is actually standing and not moving, whereas person B is actually moving. Okay. Now, it actually depends on the point of reference from where we are observing. Moving forward, what we're going to learn is distance and displacement. Now, this is a very important topic for 6th to 10th standard in all the books. Now, what exactly is distance? Distance is basically the path traveled by the object from point A to point B. Now, this path can be in a straight line, can be a curved line, or can be traced as any path in any form of point and can change direction at any point. Whereas displacement is the shortest distance from point A to point B. Okay. Now this is always going to be in a straight line. Also, the difference between distance and displacement, and it's one of the most important points to remember, is that distance is a scalar quantity, whereas displacement is a vector quantity. Now what do you mean by scalar and vector? Now, scalar quantity is basically a number or a magnitude which does not belong or does not have any direction, but it's just a quantity or a number. Whereas a vector quantity is magnitude with a direction. Okay, so it will have that value or a number, and it will also have a direction. That means it's going to be in a single particular direction. Now, when an object covers a particular distance in a particular amount of time, okay, for example, let's say a person A is traveling 4 kilometers of distance. Now, this distance may not be in the same direction, but can travel anyhow. Okay, now if that person is covering that 4 kilometer distance in 1 hour of time, okay, now therefore, moving on, we will understand what exactly is speed from this. Speed is nothing but basically a distance covered in a particular amount of time. Moving on, when the same person covers the displacement, that's the shortest distance from point A to point B in a particular amount of time, that term is called as velocity. Okay, so velocity is also written as displacement upon time, whereas speed is written as distance upon time. So, as we know, distance is a scalar quantity, therefore, in return, in proportion, the speed will also be a scalar quantity and doesn't have any particular direction. Whereas velocity, since it has displacement in it, and displacement being a vector quantity, therefore velocity is also a vector quantity and will have a particular single direction. Now, acceleration is also an important topic. So, acceleration is basically change in velocity in a particular amount of time. Now, there's a new concept that we are hearing, that's changing velocity. Now, what exactly does that mean? Now, it means that when an object is changing its velocity, let's see an example and understand this clearly. So, for example, when I'm releasing a ball from a certain height, now this ball initially was stationary and its velocity was 0. Now, as soon as I released it, gravity came into place and the ball started to fall, and its velocity kept on increasing. Now, when it reached the ground, it had a certain amount of velocity. Now, initially, if we observe the whole motion, initially the velocity was zero, whereas at certain amount of value in the end, which happened over a period of time. Okay, so that is nothing but changing velocity. Okay, now the formula for changing velocity is final velocity minus initial velocity. Okay, now acceleration will be nothing but final velocity minus initial velocity over the period of time. Okay, now final velocity is also written as v, whereas initial velocity is written as u.
अगर आपको हमारी वीडियो पसंद आती है तो हमें लाइक कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और बेल आइकन को टैप कीजिए सो दैट आपको नोटिफिकेशन मिलते जाए हमारे नए वीडियोस के।